Hi, in this video we're going to be talking about IT certification pathways. So once you're in the IT field for a while, you might want to think about getting some of these certifications, especially if you know the path you want to take. So if you're just starting out, you might want to wait on something like this until you know what you're interested in. And I will say too that experience does count more than certifications, at least in my experience, because you could have all of the certifications in the world, and if you've never laid your hands on any of these certifications, then people probably aren't going to care about these certifications for the most part. And a lot of these hiring managers realize this too. They'll see somebody with a bunch of certificates and no experience, and they'll assume that they really don't know what they're doing, because you could, study for these tests, pass all the exams by, memorizing the questions or whatever, and not really get any real world experience from it. But if you have the experience and the certification, then that's really going to help you out. All right, so these IT certifications provide structured learning paths that validate technical skills, strengthen resumes, and support career advancement across multiple technology disciplines. So for individuals working in roles such as helpdesk, system administration, network, and cybersecurity, certifications help build foundational knowledge and demonstrate readiness for increased responsibility. And one thing to keep in mind as well, many companies, especially larger ones, will actually pay to send you to school to get these certifications. All right, so now we're going to go over some various types of IT careers and tell you what certifications go with those careers. All right, so if you have a help desk or tech support type of role, there are several certifications you could work on for that. So these are geared more towards entry-level IT professionals with strong troubleshooting, hardware, software, customer service, and problem-solving skills. So of course we have the CompTIA certifications, so these are really good for the basics. So the ITF is the foundational one. So basic IT concepts, ideal for newcomers. Then you have the A+, this has been around forever. So this industry standard for PC support type roles. And then we have intermediate type certifications, so Microsoft 365 certified for the fundamentals. This is geared towards cloud services. And the HDI Support Center Analyst for help desk professionalism and ticket handling. And then we have some of the more advanced help desk certifications, so like the Network Plus for basic networking and Security Plus for basic security fundamentals. So none of these certifications are going to be too in-depth or too complicated. They're all kind of foundational just to get you started. All right, so we have some career outcomes at the bottom here, kind of like a path that you could take once you start out in this type of role, from help desk technician to service desk analyst to desktop support to junior system admin or network administrator. So of course this outcome is going to vary depending on what type of work you end up doing. All right, then we have the system administrator pathway. So focused on server configuration, virtualization, identity management, cloud platforms, automation, and enterprise system operations. All right, so we have our core skills. So once again, we have Network Plus. And if you're working on Linux systems, there's even a Linux Plus. So I will say that there are obviously a lot more Windows admins out there than Linux admins. And if you were to specialize in Linux, it might be a little harder to find a job, maybe not, but you might end up making more because it's more of a specialty. And there's not a lot of people out there that are Linux professionals compared to Windows professionals. All right, then we have our primary system admin certifications. So we have the Microsoft Certified Windows Server Hybrid Administrator Associate, long title there. So this deals with Windows Server, Active Directory, and hybrid identity. Then you have the Microsoft 365 Certified Administrator Associate. This deals with email identity, compliance, and cloud administration. And of course, there are many other Microsoft certifications as well. And then if you're getting into virtualization, we have the VMware VCTA and VCP for virtualization fundamentals and advanced hypervisor skills. And then going back to Linux again, there's even one specifically for Red Hat for the Certified System Administrator. All right, then if you want to get into the more advanced ones, you have the Azure Administrator Associate for Cloud Environment Management, and the CompTIA Cloud Plus for Cloud Infrastructure, and the HashiCorp Terraform Associate, which is geared toward infrastructure as code and automation. So as for career outcomes, you could start as a junior system admin. Of course, you'll have to work your way up to a junior system admin from the previous path, into a system administrator, then a systems engineer, cloud engineer, and then an infrastructure architect. All right, so now let's talk about network administrator pathways. So this concentrates on routing, switching, wireless technology, network design, performance optimization, and security principles. So the network admin is going to be one of the harder ones unless you have a natural knack for working on switches and routers, command line stuff, especially with the Cisco certifications. So these might be a little bit harder to pass unless you're really good at that kind of thing. All right, so we have the foundational, the Network Plus again. And then we have our primary network certification. So we have the basic Cisco CCNA. So this is one of the most common Cisco certifications out there. Then we have Juniper JNCIA and Aruba ACMA. So obviously, depending on what kind of hardware you're going to be working with, you would take that appropriate certification test. All right, then we have some more advanced network certifications. So the Cisco CCNP Enterprise. So this involves pro-level routing, switching, SD-WAN, and wireless specialization. Then we have Fortinet NSC4 for network firewall admin. And then Palo Alto, they're pretty popular with firewalls. We have the ACE PCCET Network Security Skills Certification. And then for career outcomes, once you get to the network technician level, you could become a network admin, into a network engineer, and then a network architect where you're actually designing these complicated network environments. All right, then we have our cybersecurity professional pathway. So this focuses on defending systems, analyzing threats, securing networks, investigating incidents, and maintaining organizational risk posture. So cybersecurity is an ever-growing problem, as you probably know. So if you're in the cybersecurity field, you'll have a job forever, most likely. All right, so we have recommended certifications. We have the foundational, back to the CompTIA Security Plus, which is the standard intro cert for cybersecurity. Then we have the ISC2CC, certified in cybersecurity. So this focuses on foundational security principles. Then we get into more of the intermediate cybersecurity certifications. So CompTIA, again, they have a CYSA plus threat detection, SOC operations, and behavioral analytics. And we have the Pen Test Plus for penetration testing. Then we even have an EC Council CEH for ethical hacking fundamentals. So some of these you might have never even heard of, and there's plenty more that you probably never heard of as well. And then finally we have the Microsoft SC900 for security, compliance, and identity fundamentals. All right, then getting into more of the advanced cybersecurity certifications, we have the ICS2 CISSP. So this is the gold standard for senior security, leadership, and architecture. Then we have the GIAC certifications, these guys here. So these are for specialized hands-on skills for SOC, forensics, malware, and incident response. And then there's OSCP, which is the industry benchmark for practical penetration testing skills. And then the career outcomes for cybersecurity, starting with a security analyst to an SOC analyst to incident responder, penetration tester, security engineer, and security architect. You can kind of see that architect is kind of the top level for some of these because once you're designing these infrastructures, then you're pretty much at the top level there. All right, then finally we have the cloud DevOps automation pathway. So this is kind of like a combination all-in-one type of pathway here. So this helps system admins, network professionals, and security engineers progress into modern cloud-centric roles focused on automation, efficiency, and large-scale infrastructure. So we have various recommended certifications for this pathway. So we have the AWS, Amazon Web Services Cloud Practitioner and Solutions Architect Associate, Microsoft Azure Fundamentals and Azure Administrator Associate, even one for Google here with the Google Associate Cloud Engineer, and the HashiCorp Terraform Associate, the Docker Plus Kubernetes CKA/CKAD certification. So the career outcome for this type of pathway, we have the cloud technician into a cloud engineer, into a DevOps engineer, into a cloud architect, into a site reliability engineer. All right, so how do these pathways work together? So this is not set in stone, obviously, but these are kind of general rules for how they kind of connect to each other here. So you could go from a help desk to a system administrator to cloud or security, or from help desk to network security. And if you're already a systems administrator, you can maybe make the next step to a cybersecurity analyst or security engineer. And if you're already a network administrator, you could get into cloud network and SD-WAN. And then we have the SysAdministrator plus automation, where you could get into DevOps and SRE. All right, so here's a general strategy for choosing certifications. So like I said at the beginning, start with broad foundational certifications like the CompTIA ones, the easy ones, technically, compared to these other ones at least. And then you could specialize based on your job goals, like I mentioned. Server, network, security, cloud, depending what you're doing on the job. You might want to get the certifications that go along with it. And then you want to pursue vendor-specific certifications once you know your niche, like these here. And then advance towards expert level credentials for senior or architect roles. And then continually build hands-on experience with labs, home labs, and real-world projects. So a lot of these certifications, it will expire, so you'll have to take the test again to keep yourself certified. So keep that in mind. So don't just take it and then forget about it, and then expect just to pass the test again without putting any work into it. And of course, if you're doing this type of work on the job, when you retake the test, it's really going to help out with passing it. All right, thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe.